Alright, so I took delivery of the Model 3. I am in here right now in the Model 3. This is the single big screen that's in the car. You can see the dash is pretty empty. I adjusted the steering wheel to my liking. Push this button here to get out. So that opens the door. I do have Alcantara here. Quick look at the car. So this is what the car looks like. Black on black. I ended up getting the Aero wheels. I know I don't really like them that much, but I'll probably take the hubcaps off, and I kind of like the way it looks underneath those wheels, so I'll probably do that. This is what we're looking at there. This is a long range, so range I think is 310 miles. This is the glass roof. The handles to get into the car. If you've watched other videos, you know you stick your thumb in there, that opens the car, and you just pull. And close. The car itself is very clean. Has only 9 miles on it. So that is what we're looking at here. Very nice. And now that I'm back inside, why don't I take this home and we'll see what that's like. Alright, that 277 mile range, and that is at, I believe, 90% charged, and it came that way. Okay, so this is my first drive. Let's see how this is. That's a launch. Wow, that's pretty good. Launching in this car is not bad. You do definitely get that acceleration that you're used to seeing in the Tesla, which is nice to see. Trying to look, I don't have anyone coming behind me. Pretty good. So yeah, I'm happy with the acceleration. It doesn't have the dual motor, but I didn't feel anything slipping or anything like that when I floored it, so that was nice. I think the performance of this car is great, and yeah, it's a lot of fun to drive. I mean, in terms of looking at the actual speedometer and not having a dash behind you, I don't think it's really that big of a deal to not have a dash. I can still see pretty well, and it doesn't really bother me. I can actually see the speedometer on the right side fairly easily right there, so I don't see that as being a big issue. So yeah, that seems fine. I think the guy mentioned that was delivering the car, he mentioned that for autopilot, people have been complaining that you have to go into the menu to adjust, follow distance and things like that. And so he said they'll probably move that over to the left side because it makes more sense there. But we'll see. We'll see if Tesla does that in a future firmware update. The screen here is very nice. I really like the screen. It's very bright. It looks pretty big. I think it definitely is pretty much all you need. And so yeah, everything's looking good. The rear view mirror looks pretty much the same as a mirror on the X. The map looks fine. The braking, the regenerative braking is about the same as what I experienced on the X. So it is a little more aggressive than, for example, the Leaf and other cars like that. a quiet ride. It's a smooth ride. Now the interior for me, kind of look around a little bit. Might be a little bit too dark to actually see this, but it's cloth leather up here, or it's cloth, not cloth leather. It's cloth, not Alcantara. So it's not suede. It's not a suede Alcantara, but the sides of the doors still have the Alcantara. So the top up here, ceilings, this is the stuff that is regular cloth. Another interesting thing is this actually has regular, regular sunshades. So it doesn't have the weird little sunshades that the X has. This has sort of like your traditional sunshade. So goes down, yeah, it's kind of a regular sunshade there. So it's nice to see. It is curved. If you kind of, I don't know if you can necessarily see that, but if you take a look at that, it's a curved shade to go with the molding. Try to accelerate a little bit and see what that's like again. Yeah, that's fun. That is still a lot of fun. There's nothing quite like a Tesla when it comes to doing that. Yes. I mean, I still think there are really two main reasons to get a Tesla, maybe three, that I would say. One is this acceleration that you don't really get with other electric cars. With other electric cars I've driven, like the Leaf, the Bolt, the i3, they're all nice and they all accelerate fairly well up to about 40 miles an hour. But on the Teslas, even going 40 to 70, like you still get that acceleration, which is great. Whereas in other electric cars, that's really where they have a lot of problems. The second reason is autopilot. I think I really like autopilot, especially when there's a lot of traffic. I sit there using that all the time. That's great. I got autopilot for this car. It's not active yet because it's still too new. And the third reason really is around the supercharger network. The supercharger network really does give you that freedom to go travel with this car. And I already have the X, and the X is 100D, so the range on that is 295 miles. So that's the car that we're planning to take for all of our road trips. And to be honest, for the Model X, I really didn't need or want the long range. I know the long range comes with a little bit extra power in addition to the extra range, but for me, I would have just saved the $9,000 and got the standard range. That's what I really wanted. But with the date of standard range getting pushed back, and even though when I ordered this car, Tesla had not officially made the announcement. I pretty much knew that they were going to move the dual motor ahead of standard range, so it would be this first production long range rear wheel drive, which is what I have. Initially they said next would be the standard range, and then third would be the dual motor. But I knew they were going to move the dual motor up and short range back, so I really didn't want to wait like a year for this car. I wanted to at least get something sooner, so that's really why I did that. So I'm glad I got the car anyway, even though I didn't need that extra range. Range is kind of the one thing that's hard to add later, so since you can't really add range at a later date, one of the things I do recommend is trying to get as much range as you can afford. So I suppose if I follow that logic, it's fine, but at least in our case, for anything that's long range, we use our Model X, and we plan to keep the Model X. So that's how that is. The windshield is starting to fog up a bit. Not exactly sure why. I don't know if this is on or off. Check. Yeah, it's all set to auto.
Down to 148th Avenue Northeast.
Now it's definitely working. So, yeah, that definitely made a difference. So I guess climate was off. Now that it's on, it's working pretty well.
Now turn left onto
this entire
148th
long
Avenue Northeast.
dash with the climate is working pretty well for me. I think it's great because it gives you a nice gradual ambient temperature change as opposed to having hot or cold air blowing right on your face. So I do like it like this a little bit better, but we'll see how this lasts over time. There are certain days, like if I'm working out or something and I come back to the car and I'm just hot and I really just want cold air on my face, but we'll see how this is over time. The delivery specialist, he said he really likes this. He's a Tesla owner. He said that he has owned a Tesla for the last 3 months, a Model 3 for the last 3 months. So he got one early because he's an employee. So he had a lot of good insight into the car. So that was great to hear.
500 feet, turn left onto Williams Road Northeast.
I'm going to turn left onto this street here. This is actually a little bit of a bad luck street for us because
now turn left onto Williams Road
my
Northeast.
wife actually got into an accident one time on this road on a different car that we had, but oh well. Yeah, climate control system is set up there. Looks like the air conditioning is on or off. Just set all this stuff as auto. That's really all there is. You can move this stuff up or down, I guess, but yeah, I don't notice anything. It seems fine to me. I guess those are my heated seats. We'll see how the heated seats are in this car. But like I said earlier, here is the Alcantara on the doors, cloth up here on the top, and the pillars up here. Yeah, we do have Alcantara right here in the mirror. A little bit of Alcantara right there. The rest of this is cloth. It actually does not bother me. So online I have read some people with complaints, but for me it's fine. And here is our glass roof. It's not a sunroof, it's just a glass roof, but I like it. The car handles very, very well. In a lot of ways I like this because it is a little bit smaller, so you do get much more maneuverability. I mean, it's just something I like about smaller cars. So you always take the good and the bad with a smaller car. Sure, you can't haul as much, and it might be a little bit inconvenient for if you have kids with car seats and things like that. Sure, having something that's bigger might be a little more convenient, but you can just zip in and out of lanes and things like that in this car. So that's what I really like about having a smaller car. And yeah, this car's just really nimble. So that's great. So now if we talk about the actual cost of this car. So I went with pretty much the most basic stuff that I was allowed to get away with for the most part. So for the first production car, the minimum cost here is $49,000. That it's a $35,000 base cost plus $9,000 for the long range battery. So that's actually what I was trying to save by going with the standard range car. So $9,000 extra plus another $5,000 for the premium package. So the premium upgrade package gives you the glass roof. It gives you the leather seats that you see here instead of cloth seats, and some other things like that. So that's another $5,000. So right now there's no choice. You have to get long range plus the premium upgrade package. So that brings you to $49,000. You also have $1,000, which is your destination fee and some stuff like that. So that's $1,000. So the minimum you can walk away with is $50,000. Now, I added autopilot because, like I said earlier, that is a must-have option for me. In my opinion, that's one of the 3 reasons why you get a Tesla. So As part of that, I got autopilot. So that's why it was $55,000 for me. And then after that, you add tax and licensing and stuff like that, and that can sort of vary depending on your state. Have different rules and laws and tax rates and that kind of stuff. Now there is a federal tax credit of $7,500, so you subtract that off, and now it ends up becoming $47,500. So that's pretty good. Now I happen to live in the state of Washington, so in the state of Washington, we actually have a special thing right now where for the first $32,000 of a Model 3, you do not pay any sales tax. So our sales tax rate is roughly, at least where I live, I think it's around 9%. So you save 9% on the first $32,000. So roughly you save about $3,000. You do pay sales tax on the rest of it though. So in my case, $55,000 minus $32,000. I guess that's $23,000. I did have to pay sales tax on that. So that's really all the sales tax that I had to pay. So all out the door with registration and things like that, I ended up paying roughly $57,500. I think it was the actual amount was something like $57,494 and change. It was something in that area, so in that range. So $57,500, minus the $7,500 tax credit. So off the door at about $50,000 in this car. So it's not a cheap car, if you ask me. But you get this acceleration, you get that, and you get autopilot. So and you get a Tesla, and you get access to the supercharger network. Now it's not free with the Model 3, but the supercharger network, from what I have seen in terms of pricing, is very reasonable. It's actually very much on par with what your local electric rates are. So charging at home versus charging at a supercharger really does not make much of a difference. Like in the state of Washington, we have fairly cheap utilities here. Our utilities here are pretty good, and it's 11 cents per kilowatt hour here. That's what the electric company charges us at our house, and that's exactly the same cost at the superchargers here in the state of Washington. So I have seen some Model 3s at the supercharger network simply because it costs the same to charge there than as it does at home. So if you're going to go shopping or something like that, and there's one nearby, you may as well just use it. So and right now we have them in this area. We have them up in Linwood, and they're building some in Bellevue, and hopefully near where I live in Kirkland, they'll be building one there. Supposedly the website says that they'll have one this year, but we'll see. Nice. So anyway, yeah, that never really does get old, by the way. So I am getting fairly close to getting home now, but we'll see how the car reacts right now as I go through some of the more windy roads. It's not that windy here, so don't get your hopes up too much, but it's a little bit more windy than what I've been through so far. And autopilot, I know it isn't enabled yet in this car, but autopilot has trouble in the Model X on this sort of windy road that I'm about to go on right now. See if that's going on. Yeah. So if you see that little alarm clock, that means I have an update. So I'll probably do a firmware update later today. I think the firmware updates for the Model 3s have been coming fairly quickly. They've been fairly frequently. They're also quick in that the upgrade takes roughly 45 minutes. I know a lot of times for the S and the X, they take more like 2 hours or so. They're a little bit faster, and I think they've been more frequent on the 3 just because there's a lot going on. So at least, this is considered very nice weather here in the Pacific Northwest. Here in Seattle, this is great weather. I know this doesn't look very good. I know it looks really gloomy. You don't really see much sun anywhere. But it's not raining. That's number one. That's key. It is not raining. If it's not raining, it's a pretty good day. And number two, you can kind of see a little bit of blue up there. In the sky, you see little hints of blue. That is not necessarily normal this time of year. So this is considered a pretty nice day out here in Seattle. So you quickly learn, you know, I moved here from California. You quickly change your baseline on things like that. So this is nice. I'm also going to park this car in the garage so that, you know, I don't want to park it out in the driveway. I'll park it down in the garage, so at least that way it'll be somewhat protected. That'll be nice to see. Yeah, so like I said, this road is not that windy, but you know, you'll get a little bit of turns here and there, and you know, like I thought, I mean, this car's doing pretty well. I know it's not, you know, the road is not icy or wet or slick and things like that right now, so definitely get that. But I also was thinking about holding out for the dual motor, because I just like having you know, having the dual motors. You know, I've seen some YouTube videos of like the rear wheel getting really like the tire tread having to be replaced, the tires having to be replaced fairly frequently because of things like that. But you know, I also like, it doesn't snow here often, but it snows every now and then, and when it does snow here, they really don't have a lot of plows, so the roads get really bad on those handful of days that it does snow. So even if it was just for those days, I kind of wanted it, but
turn right onto Northeast
I could probably live without it.
145th Street.
And like I said, the Model X does have dual motors, so maybe that's a car we drive
Now
if we have
turn right
to.
onto Northeast 145th Street.
Over here. Now, I'm assuming that the autopilot software is the same on the 3 as the S and the X, but I am a little bit curious to see how it works on this street right here, because there are a few curves here, and there's one section on the top where autopilot completely fails every time, and that is because I think the lines on the street kind of goes away, and it gets really confused, and like yeah, it kind of goes crazy up there. So I'm a little bit interested to see what happens there. I know you're not supposed to use autopilot on city streets, and yeah, I definitely get that. I don't typically use autopilot on surface streets, but sometimes I do when it's like late at night, there are no other cars around, and I just want to test it, play with it.
Turn right onto 156th
Yeah,
Place
so
Northeast.
it is meant for you to use on freeways only, because it isn't going to stop at red lights and
Now
stop signs.
turn
And
right
things like
onto 156th
that. So this
Place
is where it always
Northeast.
fails. See how there's kind of goes away, bloop bloop, and it goes crazy here, and then at that point I always take over. Pretty well. Yeah, it's able to handle these curves and turns pretty well.
Now turn right onto Northeast 144th Place.
You know, in a lot of ways, it's like the first car I ever got was,
In 500
whoa,
feet,
actually it got
turn
sun.
right to stay on
That's
Northeast
actually
144th Place.
that makes today a really nice day, because look at this, we got actual
Now
sun here.
turn right to stay
But
on
anyway,
Northeast 144th Place.
Yeah, the way that this car kind of hugs the road, it does actually remind me of the first car I ever owned, which was a BMW 325. And that was a lot of fun. I mean, it was just
155th Avenue Northeast.
it was just a ton of fun, like riding around and hugging corners and things like that. And like, I can sort of see that happening with this car. So that's kind of that's nice to see. Yeah, like, yeah, this is pretty nice. Yeah, it looks like it rained here earlier, but you know, we have the sun out, so you know, I know I was getting excited about that a few minutes ago, but that's kind of nice to see. All right, well, I am home, so I will be seeing the rest of you in another YouTube video. Take care, and I hope you enjoyed the ride on my first drive in my Model 3. Alright, so I made it home. Now I need her to go over there and pull out one of the other cars so that I can pull in the driveway. There she is. She's pulling out that other BMW over there. She waved. I think she's just saying I should go down. But I'm going to give her some space. Okay. So now let's head down. Oh, she gave me a thumbs up. I think she likes this car. Maybe she likes this car. So there is the driveway. You see the Model X over there. Maybe I'll back in. Should I back in or should I? I'll back in. See how well the camera is. So I did hear that the rear camera is not as high resolution as the camera on the other Teslas, but, and maybe that's true. I think a firmware update made it better, but it doesn't look so bad. She looks like she's impressed. She looks happy with this car. She's looking at the T emblem up there. Tesla. I will go put this car in reverse. Yeah, so she did give me an excited thumbs up, so maybe she likes this car. Being very careful with it, obviously. I don't want to crash into some of these things down there. So, there we go.